Welcome to Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube. Fan debates, live watch-alongs, post-match reactions, and all the Foxes banter you could ask for. Subscribe now and see the game through Blue Tinted Glasses.
Just into race clear. He's got Jamie Vardy with him. Jamie Vardy sets off. Jamie Vardy! Pull back here for Darwin. Oh, he scored! An absolute belter! That is trademark Abdul Fattahwood.
This one into the box. Nugent over the top. Oh, what a goal! David Nugent's just scored a beauty. He's made Forest look like fools.
Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City.
Good evening and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. It's Wednesday night and it means it's time for Foxes Den. The first Foxes Den in, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. 3 weeks, I think. So hello to everybody. Good to see you all. Let's get Jack in as well. Here he is. What's going on, mate? So yeah, before we get into it all, make sure to hit a like on the video. Make sure to hit subscribe as well. Kunal, good evening to you. Same to you, Ray, mate. Happy hump day, BTG. Hope you're doing well, Ray. Anil, what's going on, mate, with you? How's things?
Great. Look at this. Of this lineup, I feel like this is like 15-16 vintage Leicester here. We've got the equivalent of Vardy, Mahrez, Kante, Schmeichel. We're going to kill it tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, Jack's Damari Gray.
Still part of the squad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, played his part.
That's good.
Jack, what's going on with you, mate? How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm very good. Glad the international break's over now. Big up Jordan Ayew's got a team of the week on FC 26. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Portsmouth at home now and getting ready for that one.
Good stuff. Me and Jack have been playing a lot of pro clubs on FIFA. Jack is the Islam. Jack's the Ajoa to my Vardy, I think. He's kind of the bigger one, and he's kind of flicking things down to me. So,
probably.
Yeah, that's a good one, Steve Howard. Yeah, nice one. Ethan, how are you, mate? How's things with you?
Oh, I've never been happier. South Africa qualified for the World Cup for the first time in 15, 16 years. So could not be happier. I have not recovered from last night yet. What a night.
Good stuff. I've just realised we're not streaming on Twitter for some reason, so I'll fix that for the next stream. But yeah, right. So we're going to have a little chat about something that we spoke about, I want to say maybe 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, and it was about our best 11. Because I'm intrigued to see if it's changed at all, what we can put together here. By the way, to anybody, all the people watching, big shout out. I know the international break is difficult. Jack will know, numbers are down, not many people are watching. That's just how it goes on international break. But obviously we'll be back with the football this weekend. I'm looking forward to the watch-along and, or should I call it a Jordan James wank-along, as I tend to call them now. I won't be jumping in the pool this time, though, if he scores. That's the downside. But hello to Azola as well. Hope you're doing well, mate. Right, okay, let's get into it. So... I want to start by let's use this, share that screen like that, there we go. So we're going to make our way through this team, have a chat about each position and all of the usual stuff when you do this type of thing. So I'm going to come to you first, Anil. Obviously, this is going to be the easy one. We'll start with the goalkeeper. Now, there has been doubts about Jakub Stolarczyk and how good he is, but there's no question, right, that Jakub is our number one. He is our best goalkeeper, as far as we're aware, because we just haven't seen the others.
Nah, he's the obvious number one. I share your concerns that maybe if we get back to the Premier League, depending on how he does for the rest of the season, it could be a position that we look for, but... He's been pretty good. He's made one or two bozo mistakes, but in general, he's a great keeper for the club.
Yeah, Ethan, what have you? What you thought? Because I'm going to say something to Jack in a sec, so I'll come to Ethan first. Because Ethan, I keep saying the same thing, mate. I feel like there was a lot of copium when Hermansen left, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's fine. Jakub's a great goalkeeper. Jakub's even better than Hermansen." I think that's too far, to be honest. But But he's a good goalkeeper, isn't he? He's a good goalkeeper at this level, at championship level. I don't think he's the best in the division. I don't even think Jakob's top 3, if that's controversial, not in the championship. But he's good enough out of the options, mate. He's the starter.
Yeah, I think he's made a couple mistakes, but obviously, I think for every mistake he makes is 4 or 5 great saves. So, for me, I think even based on form right now, he's better than Hermansen. But no, I'd still like to see the other keeper, Freitas.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him. Yeah, I'd like to see him get given maybe a 3-game run or so. Maybe if Stolarczyk is injured, because I think he's also got the really good goalkeeping qualities. Maybe not so much with distribution, but he's a big lad, and he was playing European football last season. So it's a blessing to have. But I think Stolarczyk is the number one.
Didn't he play in the Europa League or the Conference League final or something? Or not the final, but he was playing in Europe, right? Last season, as you said. Was it Conference League or Europa League?
Yeah, I think he was the conference goalkeeper for Real Betis, was he not?
Yeah. So there you go. So he's clearly got some pedigree, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, we haven't. Was it what cup game? When we played Huddersfield, was it Huddersfield in the cup? Did he go with Jakob again? Didn't he? He started Jakob, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't even get a Begovic in the cup,
which was a surprise. But that's what happened.
It was a surprise. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, it was a surprise. But maybe, I mean, we have speculated for quite some time that Begovic is just going to be solely like a dressing room figure, maybe. Although I don't know if I told you this. Yeah, I mean, I heard story. Well, he's. That's it. Well, no, it's the other way round. He lets the players shag his wife. That's what was happening with Danny Ward. Hamza Chowdhury was all over it. Anyway, sorry, no, there's no proof to that. I should say for legal reasons. That's all speculation. But no, Jack, what are your thoughts, mate? Because I know me and you had similar conversations with Clibbo and Reese, and they were like, "Mate, Jakob's better. Jakob's better than Hermansen." I mean. What have you made to Jakob's start, and do you agree that he is the number one?
Yeah, he is number one. I think, to be fair, he's obviously made his mistakes. Keeper make mistakes. They take time to bed into a number one role, and I think he's made it his own very well. I think he's made some very good saves, more than the mistakes that he has made. It can be frustrating, though, when he gets that ball, he collects it, and we've got an attack on. He holds the ball for too long, and he makes rash decisions at times in himself. And you can sort of see that in the game against West Brom, Preston, Oxford. And it cost you, doesn't it, But he's made some great saves, Swansea, Charlton. He's a good keeper. This guy's going to learn, because he's not been number one at a football club before, has he? So, it adds up a lot of pressure. Is Hermansen the better goalkeeper? I'd say so. If I choose between these two in the Championship, Stolarczyk or Hermansen, I'd choose Hermansen. That's no disrespect to Jakob. I think he is a good goalkeeper, but I always preferred Hermansen. Obviously, Hermansen's not cutting it at West Ham, is he? He's not cutting the mustard there. But no, I think Stolarczyk definitely deserves the number one. Viates, I'd like to see him maybe in the FA Cup this season to see how good he is. But I don't know. There's a lot of games, aren't there? And sometimes when goalkeepers do get bad runs of form, sometimes managers opt to take them out. And hopefully Viates is there to step up in case we do need to make that change.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, mate. You just want competition, right, in every position. Yeah, you want competitions that if somebody's performance levels drop.
For him, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd agree, mate. I'd agree. Right, moving on to the right back. I mean, Anil. I'm just going to start off here by saying that it's got to be Ricardo, right? Because Hamza Chowdhury obviously is in the squad, and he is available, and Ricardo Pereira, when he plays, I suppose, finds himself in all sorts of different positions. I would say, though, Anil, Ricardo's not really had an impressive couple of games, to be honest with you. I think that's maybe a little bit harsh, because I think our expectations from him are just so high, right? That we're like, he's gonna come, he's gonna play, he's gonna control everything and dominate everybody. He's gonna look a cut above, and that's obviously not going to happen in every game. But what are your thoughts on the right back position?
I was looking for the sound effect for the bozo alert, and I couldn't find it, which means that Locks has hidden it away, because Locks deserves a bozo alert for saying that Ricardo's not been up. Right, I think he's been amazing. Yes, maybe defensively he's been caught out, but he scored 2 goals. He could score more. I think he plays really well in that position. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. But I'd actually rather take the left back position because I think it's more interesting to talk about. Because Ricardo in the past, actually under Puel, played in the left back position, and I think that the way that the players are used in our team, a lot of the time those fullbacks aren't even fullbacks. They find themselves in the attacking midfield positions. They're only really defending in those positions. So I don't know. It could be a way that we get something more out of the team. But I think I will always want to see Ricardo on the team sheet in this division for sure. Technically one of our best players, makes the team a lot better, adding goal scoring to his game because of the system this season as well. Yeah, much better than Hamza. Easy peasy.
Jack, I mean, Anil's right, obviously, about Ricardo. Like, he did play, I think he even played on the left under Rodgers a couple of times as well when we had injuries to JJ and other stuff. I think Castagna was on the right and Ricardo was on the left for some games. But, I mean, I'm being harsh when I said about Ricardo. This season, I think in general, he's had a good season. I just mean in the last couple of games, I think he was a little bit quiet and made a few mistakes. But there's no question, right, that he is the best right back at the football club.
Top player. He's been one of our best players this season. He makes the difference in that defence. He's a leader. He speaks, and he does very well. You can see with Hamza and with Ricardo what the difference in the team is. Ricardo's a better player. He's the vast experience. I think obviously everyone had a bad game against West Brom, innit? I think that's the only bad game he's had, to be fair, Ricky P. But like I say, he's helped us to points this season. He's scored some very good goals. He's contributed well, obviously, in fairness about his fitness. Yeah, it needs to be managed with the amount of injuries he's had in the past recent seasons. But if we can keep him fit and firing, then I think he'll do a lot more and help this team further up the table.
Ethan, the fact we've got somebody from Bangladesh in the chat saying that Ricardo over Hamza all day, I think that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, you need to be careful, man. You need to be careful. The Bangladesh Hamza crowd is heavy. The plenty in number. You need to hide now. So, but I mean, you're not wrong. But you need to hide now. Now Ricardo he's captain material. He needs to start as many games as he can. If there's a 1% chance that he's not fit, you need to roll the dice with it. Because he's just that good and he has that much influence over the team. So him at right back is a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, totally. Common Boy from Bangladesh said, I mean, in matches we could win without attacking fullback, go with Hamza or a Luka. I mean, yeah, Luka is one that probably won't come up today, but, he's an option which I think a lot of less fans are wanting to see more of, for sure. Paul says Ricardo, no-brainer. Richard says the same. Got to be Ricardo, no question. And Ryan said, in fairness, Ricardo's fitness is being managed carefully. Marty is managing his minutes well. Still one of my favourite players. Ricardo is the man, says Caleb. His potential is much higher than Hamza, even if he has poorer games. So, yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. Right, here's an interesting one. So, the back two, I should probably, let me get up this image as well from earlier. But the two centre-backs, I'll come to you first this time, Jack. Where's your head at the moment, mate? Because I think a lot of fans want to see more of Ben Nelson, and rightly so. He's had, he had that one poor game, and he's not really got back into the team. But I think most fans are also in agreement, even if they don't like them, that Vestergaard and Faes are, two of the best defenders in the league. So, who would be your centre back pairing in this best 11?
It's got to be Faes and Vestergaard, hasn't it? They're proving in the Championship last time they could do it under Enzo. Obviously, Marty plays them sort of the same way, to be fair, of how they play their football. So, yeah, Faes and Vestergaard are a duo, aren't they? They're not quite Premier League, but they are Championship level, so they'll do a good job for that. Obviously, Faes has got a couple of mistakes, and of course he has. It's proved it in some of the bloody fouls he's made this season. He gave away a penalty, but Faes and Vestergaard work well together, to be fair. Ben Nelson, I like him. I want to see a lot from him, to be fair. Against Huddersfield, he never really hit the ground running, did he, to be fair? I think he's really struggling to find his feet under Marty's style of football. Olabardi Aluko could probably go in there like him. He's done really well in the under-23s. But then when you talk about Caleb Okoli, he's got pace, he's got strength. Breeze passing out from the back, his distribution is absolutely shocking. And Fass is probably 10 times the player. Probably Okoli is in that position in distribution, because Fass has got distribution. He'll get that ball in, he'll look for that forward pass. With Okoli, it's too backwards and sideways for me, and I wanted to see a bit more from him. I had expectation for Okoli this season, but it just looks like it's gone away. So yeah, Fass and Vestergaard for me. Even if people don't like Wout Fass, I think he's still our best defender.
Yeah, we've got a comment in from Peter who says, I think we'll start to see more Nelson and Luco past January. Okoli and Fass are likely to want moves away. Now, before I come to you, Anil, I'm going to share this here, and here we go. So we have here aerial duels won and progression for championship centre-backs this season. So you've got consistently wins first contact, not as progressive, consistently wins first contact, progress the ball. And it's interesting, all the way down here, you see Connor Cody in the box, inconsistent aerially and not as progressive, which I think is why I saw a tweet, or I saw a thread the other day putting Cody as one of the worst signings of the summer in English football. I saw. So, but anyway, if I zoom out here, you can see where Fass is this season. So Fass is currently down here in inconsistent aerially, but does progress the ball. You've got Okoli kind of towards the middle here, where my mouse is, and then you've also got Vestergaard, who's up here, which is consistently wins first contact, not as progressive, which because it kind of it surprised me a little bit. I would have thought just from the eye test he was more over here, for example. But Anil, talk to me on this, mate, on this graphic, and what that tells us, and who you would have as your starting centre back pairing.
Well, it's a funny one, because I think at the start of the season, if you'd have said that 10 games in, we're still lining up with Yannick Vestergaard and Wout Faes at the back, you'd be like, Marty out, get this manager the F out of Leicester. But, the eye test, the defense has improved with those two in the team. And if you want to win games, then that's what you want to kind of go for. I know it's a tough one, though, because at the same time, we were kind of thought that, this season might be a bit of a revolution and we'd start some of these players. And, we haven't been particularly good this season. But if we had not been particularly good, but we were bedding in new players, it might actually make it a bit more respectable. But we're just going for these same two. Wout Faes will not be here next year, although I thought that this season and he's still here. Yannick's still got a year left on his deal. Difficult to say. I mean, basically, I think that this graphic, I don't think it really says that much about Wout Faes. I think when you see him in the team, I don't think he's actually made many mistakes, really, not especially in the air this season. I think the team looks better when he's in it. Same with Yannick. Yannick has been caught out for pace a few times, but actually his ability on the ball makes the team improve. Like him and Winks together, is effectively gets the team going. So I think if you're just looking at what is our best team, those two are the best defenders. But I think that there is still a strong argument to be saying, well, but hang on a minute, right? Why are we not giving games at all to other players that could well be the future? The Ben Nelson one is definitely the most mystifying thing about Marty, because he's not even in a squad. Now, that to me suggests that he cannot be doing it in training or something like that. And that surprises me, because I thought in pre-season that Ben Nelson was really, really good. He was playing in the middle of the back three. He was playing out the long diagonals. It's like he was being groomed to be the Yannick Vestergaard successor. And I thought that might be how we use him this season, that he would be playing in the games, like maybe the game coming up against Portsmouth, you might try Ben Nelson there. But if you're playing more senior team, you might go with Yannick. So I think that those two are the best ones to kind of go for. But I don't know, because come the end of the season, even if it doesn't matter if we get promoted or we don't get promoted. There's going to be a lot of change in this Leicester team, right? There's so many players out of contract. So does that mean we've given up on these players, or are we going to be trying to play them? I don't know. So I think there's an argument to say that you pick one of Yannick or Faes, and the other person is someone that you should try and start building up now, who's going to be the future. But what Jack was saying about Okoli, I agree with. I think he's been a huge disappointment in the Championship, because I thought that he would be just look like a Rolls Royce, but he hasn't. He's looked like a clapped out Mini or something like that. So, but Ben Nelson, when he was playing under Enzo, he was getting in ahead of Cody, and rightly so. And he had not a full season. He had an injury hit season with Oxford, but I know that the times he was playing for Oxford last season, they said he was brilliant. So yeah, he looked awful against Huddersfield. Let's have it right, car crash. But that's one game. There's name me one Leicester player that hasn't had a bad game for us, So I think there's a strong argument to get in. But look, if you want to win games, you start phase, for the guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ethan, I would agree with the nil that if we were sat here saying the 11 we want to see has what 11 do we want to see? What 11 is better for the future? Of course, Ben Nelson probably gets in that 11, but if we're talking about our best 11, Ethan, do you think it is Vestergaard and Fast from what we've seen this season?
Yeah, from what we've seen so far, it has to be them two. They do make silly mistakes from time to time. I think both of them have weaknesses and they don't really make each other stronger. But as a whole, with the other players around them, they play better together. I think if we are going long term, you'd play either Vestergaard or Nelson alongside a Fast. I think Vestergaard, he's got all the technical ability that a centre-back needs in the modern game, but physically he hurts the team too much. And Fast just doesn't have the mental, right? I think he makes too many rash decisions. I think he'd either lunge in for a ball or not track a man. So sometimes he just switches off. But with centre-backs, I think you need a pairing that really complement each other. I think that's why everyone was sort of gunning for Okoli and Nelson, right? Especially seeing pre-season. What I think now is that Nelson, if he's not getting into the team ahead of these two, it's very difficult to change centre-back partnerships. But if he's not getting into the team ahead of these two, then there must be something going on behind the scenes. Maybe he's still nursing an injury or something like that. But it is quite worrying. But I think these two are the best two centre-backs.
Yeah, Thomas was on that graphic, but it's not. Okay. Yeah, this is centre backs only. Okay. I was confused at first because Luke Ayling was there, but I think Ayling's a centre back now, or he's like a part of a back three, so that's why he's in there. But no, it's not. If anybody knows what Thomas it could be, he's in a nice little spot there, to be honest. But yeah, Shaughnessy as well. If I just share it one more time, sorry. Shaughnessy is Portsmouth. He might be playing this weekend. I think he has had a knock recently, but he might be there. Jacob Greaves, if you look at him, he's over there in a kind of league of his own at the moment. You got Christoph Clara as well, who's.
I don't get why we didn't sign Jacob Greaves last season. Left-footed centre back who's good on the ball. I mean, that was exactly what we were crying out for. 15 million they got him for. I think that was a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit more than what we paid for Okoli, right? Around the same price. So, Bobby Thomas for Coventry.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. Okay.
Suter will be an option as well later in the year, but I mean, he's going to take some time to come back from that. I don't rate Suter. I think some people just just overhype him. I think he was crap. I think he had when he came in under Brendan Rodgers. I think he was okay for a couple of games, but yeah, it was. Although everyone was terrible,
he's good at clearing the ball. But the reason he's never going to get a look in is because he's not good enough with his feet, and that's the issue. So he's a bit like a Coley. Yeah. You could either call him good or bad, but if you're trying to play that way, where you're asking your defenders to help build the attack, he's not going to fit well into your team.
Yeah. So let me bring this back up here. So yeah, we've got Vestergaard and Fast. So Jack, let me ask you, mate, on the left back. I'll come to Anil in a second because I know he wants to touch on the left back. But Jack, I'll start with you. This is a bit of a horrible area, isn't it, mate? Because we are picking between shit and shit. It's pretty grim. We have Badir Luko, who is at the club, who could also play there, but at the moment it seems like it is between Thomas and VK, and we've not really seen too much of VK. We've seen a little bit of him in his gimp mask, but who would you lean more towards in this one? Who's the least shit?
Jesus Christ. I mean, effort's a minimum for these pair, to be honest. And I don't really think any of them's got good defensive qualities, to be fair. Bloody hell. These pair give me a bloody migraine watching the pair of them. I'm telling you, it gives me an headache. I had to take my glasses off just to get a rub because I know I ain't got bloody Roberto Carlos at left back at this point when I watch Leicester. But these two, if I had to pick between the two, I've got to go Luke Thomas. To be fair, the guy overlaps quite well. And he's obviously does well in his short passing and that. The only thing I will criticise with Thomas is his positioning most of the time. He loses his man quite a bit and gets beaten too easily. But then I say the same for Christensen. The same happens to him. He can't defend. If he gives a man 5 yards, he'll still get beat. But Thomas, I think he's been a lot more gritty, as Paul says. You know, he's not scared to put in a challenge, but I think he has had a better bloody left back role than VK. The only thing good about VK is when you go on a night out to a nightclub and you pick up a VK drink. Apart from that, I'd rather go with Thomas.
What are you thinking on this one, Anil, then? Talk to me, because, I mean, we have banter, I suppose, in the group chat every now and then because, you know, I like to stir the pot and side with Doc on this one and say, you know, VK is better than Thomas. A lot of Leicester fans, you know, for some reason I see a lot of Leicester fans who rate Thomas, and I'm just like head in hands thinking, what on earth am I seeing? But where's your head at the moment? Because as I said, we've seen a little bit of VK since he's returned from his broken jaw. Do you think he's done enough or shown enough to replace Thomas?
No, especially with that gimp mask that he's wearing. I kind of agree with Jack. I would also say that Luke Thomas, the two things that he offers you is that he's actually not bad in taking the left-footed set pieces. He's had some good deliveries in general. Like we scored actually against Swansea thanks to a free kick that he's taken, not directly but indirectly from him taking it. He's also got a long throw, although who remembers that awful long throw he tried against Oxford? He just gave it away, right? It's just awful. So I think he actually does perform a role in the team. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I'm a bit surprised with Marty that this is a position that he's not experimenting more with, because he actually had James Justin sometimes being used in that position as well earlier on in the season, or he could go with Badia Luko. Because the thing is that the way that we're using our left back, I'm not really understanding why he's so fixated on having a left-footed player there. Now, it can make a lot of sense to have a left-footed player there if you're using them in a certain way, and that would be primarily if they're actually getting to the byline and putting crosses in. But you don't often see, in fact, either position, the fullback getting to the byline, because they invert more into an attacking midfield position, right? Yeah. So for that reason, you actually want someone who actually offers you, like, defensively, they need to have good positioning, which Jack's already touched upon, which actually neither of these players have. So that's another argument for not starting them. But what you'd actually want to see them doing is that they're either good at box crashing, which Ricardo is. Even Hamza scored a goal, by the way, a very good goal from the right back position against Huddersfield. They did give away a bozo penalty, but he did at least score a good goal there, right? Or they should be like having good progressive through balls, or they can rotate and work well with what would be Jeremy Monga, Jordan James, Steffi Mavadidi, who's going to be up there. So I don't really know what the answer is, but I would like to see him try several other players there, because as I say, I kind of feel that like Thomas, he's not, other than the set pieces, I don't see anything in the team that he's doing that, you know, I think that's a bit harsh, right? It's definitely a problem position, but I don't think it's like one of those things where I look at it and I think like it's costing us game after game. It has cost us some games, right? It definitely cost us in that Preston one where he rushed out, but Stolarczyk didn't exactly cover himself in glory there either. But yeah, I think it's a position we could improve, and I don't think it has to be a left back. And if you cast your mind back to pre-season, there was a goal that Louis Page scored, and Aluko box crashed, got into the box, and he provided the assist for Louis Page to score from. I don't know if you remember that one, right? So he could be tried there. As crazy as it sounds, maybe even Silko Thomas or something like that, because when they're in the attacking sector, they're going to offer you more going forward. So the thing is I see Luke Thomas, I think he either kills the attacks or he's not really getting into spaces where he's taking a chance. Whereas Ricardo, not only he scored a few goals, but he could have scored more goals, Ricardo, even with the short amount of games that he's had. So it's a position we could definitely upgrade. If we have to pick one, I pick Luke Thomas. But yeah, I think it's definitely an improvement position, but maybe they're a bit fearful that if they sign another player and they haven't shifted one out, then you got three and yada, yada, yada. But why Thomas was given the contract, not a big believer in that.
Yeah, literally as well, like 4 hours after I released a video saying, oh, the board are learning and whatever, and they went and did that. So good job. Go on, Ethan. I think from what we've said here, we're leaning towards Thomas to go in here. Would you agree with that? Do you just think? Because I think VK, I just like to, I say VK's better because I refuse to believe we have a left back worse than Thomas. So I'm like, VK has to be better, but maybe he's not.
I think going forward, VK is better. I think he offers you more energy going forward. Defensively, he can get caught out. I think, and I watched the tactical analysis video last night, so I did a little bit of my homework here. I think if you're playing with a back three with your left back,
Anil will send you the $5 after the stream. The tenner.
I think if you're playing with a back three, Luke Thomas can play on that left hand side. I think, like I'm getting paid at all. But I think defensively, Luke Thomas is very sound. I think if you're bringing him on to see out a game, 20 minutes left, Thomas is your guy. Let him get a yellow card and give away some stupid fouls. But I think it's very naive to play him for the full 90. I'd really want to see a Luco get given a chance, a run of games. I think he's earned it. But if I'm choosing between VK and Thomas, I think I have to go with VK. I think his sort of physical build and his sort of energy that he brings, I think is better for what we need going forward.
Yeah, I mean, interesting comment from Peter. VK would be gone in January anyway. That's why Thomas got the contract. I think VK was going to leave and then he got injured. And I think, Forest were linked with him, for example. I bet they're kind of glad they didn't get him now. But, common boy from Bangladesh that Ethan is being forced to give his opinion without any payroll. Even Mavadidi is good at tackling. Where was this comment I wanted to bring up here?
Well, just to put this into context, Logs, like Liverpool, for example, they're using Dominic Szoboszlai as a right back in a lot of their games, right? So that's why I'm saying how just the starting position you're playing doesn't mean that's the position you play when you're in possession or you're attacking. So it's an obvious upgrade, but as you said, at least with Luke Thomas, long throws these days are a big part of the game. Set piece is important as well. So that's maybe why he's in the team.
Right. Do any of you three want to argue or debate or offer any reason as to why the two here in midfield are not Harry Winks and Jordan James? Go on. Anybody?
No.
Does anybody have any fight at all for a Samare or a Skip or that was stretching a little bit, wasn't it, when I mentioned Skip?
Get rid of both of them.
At least come up with something believable there, Logs. Yeah.
I mean, Ethan, talk to me, mate, about why, because I think, we spoke about it on the analysis. I've spoken about it as well on the preview, which is coming out tomorrow for Portsmouth. But Jordan James, since he's come into the team, I called it when I saw him in that 10, man, because he was. Yes, very well done. But no, like he played in the 10, for a couple of games, and he was just, he was average, I would call it. Just, he was average. But it wasn't his position. I think now, Ethan, since he's come into that 8 role, that box-to-box role alongside Winks, I think it's just offered a whole new dynamic in the midfield, and I think it's really helped us out having him there because. As well, with our wingers always being isolated at the moment, it seems, always being doubled up on as well. Having him in the centre to kind of to do something has really helped us.
Yeah, I think he's everything that Sumare was supposed to be, right? Someone who can pick up the ball and drive with it, offer some attacking supports and get goals and assists, right? It's a bit early to say that he's been one of our best signings in recent times. But I think well done to whoever scouted him. He's been absolutely brilliant. Individual quality, but also as a team player is really important. I think him and Winks really complement each other really well. You need someone with a lot of energy next to Winks because sometimes physically he can get caught out. But the technical side of his game is really good, right? So them two together work really well together.
Yeah. Jack, over to you, mate. Harry Winks, Jordan James. Because I think, Jordan James, already is turning to be a great bit of business, I suppose, in the summer. And knowing we've got that option to buy as well. How impressed have you been with this two as the pairing?
Fantastic. Yeah. Winks is the Rolls Royce of the midfield, does his job very well. Jordan James, very impressed. Scored some goals as well. And his off the ball work is phenomenal, to be fair. The way he gets back, he tackles, he attacks as well. This guy's an incredible loan signing, to be fair, which I want to turn permanent quite quickly. You know, them pair, it's the chef's kiss for me, for these pair. I'm not even going to argue why even Samari or bloody Skip would even make this team, to be fair, because them pair, I want them gone in January. The pair of them, if we get good money for them, see them off. But these pair can stay. If these pair are in Big Brother, them pair would get kicked out straight away. Samari and Skip wouldn't have none of it. Not even
evicted
to the bloody Big Brother room thing that they go to talk to Big Brother, man. Not even worst of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be evicted. Neil, is this the best centre mid pairing in the championship?
It could be. Let's judge that, I guess, near the end of the season. But I'd be hard to think of anyone who's got better than that. You know, it was better even than what Coventry had. I think Ipswich midfield is supposed to be quite good, but I don't feel it's as creative as what we've got here. So I really like the balance that we have here. I see you've got someone to control the game, someone just offers you a bit of everything, including set pieces. And yeah, great players often work well together, and you're seeing that very quickly already.
Peter says, JJ is probably our only midfielder who covers his fullback. Really impressive considering he also joins the attack and gets back to make tackles in the six. Not too shabby on set pieces too. Not a bad finisher either. He's got a good shot on him as well. Daniel, it's meant to be around £6 million apparently, so absolute freaking bargain. And Samare's linked now as well recently with a move away in January. Imagine you sold Samare for 5-6 million and you just signed JJ for 5-6 million. That would be a excellent bit of business. But no, I mean, you know, Ethan, I think with JJ, it's just, you know, again, I hate to use Kin and Dewsbury Hall's name when talking about JJ because it's not fair. Dewsbury Hall is, you know, 5-6 years older, and we know that Dewsbury Hall was better 2 years ago for us than JJ probably will be this season. But JJ has brought something that I think we've been missing since KDH left, right? The energy, the covering of the ground, the drives forwards, getting back as well and getting a tackle in. He does all of these things which we lacked last season. And I think even Ethan, when people talk about, oh, well, JJ's not Premier League quality. Well, first of all, I think it's harsh to say that off the bat, right? You want to see him, what he can do at that level. But also, I think we would have been better last season with JJ just because of the profile. We didn't have that profile last season.
Yeah, I think it's early signs, but I think next year if we get promoted, if we see him in the Prem, he'll be one of our standout performers, right? I think what you really need to be a really good midfielder, especially of his profile, is energy and drive, and that's what he has. And at the back end of all the effort that he puts in, he's got that touch of quality as well. So yeah, one of our best midfielders in the team right now. I think the argument is with other players like Hamza or a Skip, maybe just doing the dirty work, maybe be better in certain fixtures. But as a duo, them two are the best in the team right now.
And Anil, just finally on JJ, falling in love with a lone player. JJ, what a player. I mean, of course, we have this option to buy Anil, but there's always the chance that somebody else comes in for him in the summer, and it's not an obligation, so he could go elsewhere, which would be a little bit disappointing. We should just try and get this deal wrapped up as soon as possible, shouldn't we? We should be on the phone to Ren now, saying, right, let's formalise this on the 1st of January.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do that, because I think you're right. Because if we don't get promoted, and unfortunately, because of points deduction, there's a big chance that could happen. We should do it, even if it's one of those weird ones where we actually sign him permanently in January, and then he gets sold in the summer, but he gets sold for 20 million instead of 6. You've made profit on it, so I think we should absolutely be doing that. Yeah, we'll see, but he definitely, I think he is capable of playing in the Premier League. I did say when we signed him that I still was 50-50, but now that I've seen him play, he's this good already, he'll definitely make it. So a no-brainer. You know, I'm not saying he's going to be like a Champions League team, but I think he could play. I think he could play even for Palace or someone like that. And that's the way they're going on at the moment. That's a very big, you know, recommendation. So yeah, I've been really impressed by him. Really good.
Only 21 years old, and you know you have to think that 2 years ago in the Championship he performed well, but was in a shit team that got relegated. So it's always difficult. And then he's gone to France, which is a big shock culturally in the football, and he barely played really. You know, I think he had two different managers and one of them didn't really like him, and so he's, you know, his progress has been really halted by that, and I think now playing, you know, every game, I think you're going to see him develop very quickly. I think we will see him kind of go on leaps and bounds. I think come the end of the season, I think he'll look an even better, you know, much better player than he already is now, and that's exciting to think about. So yeah, right. Common boy from Bangladesh. I can't say this loud, but Hamza is barely a player. Why are we even discussing him? Yeah, no one's discussing Hamza in the fucking midfield. That's for sure. Worst case scenario is that at Premier League level, he's a good squad option over the likes of Skip and Hamza. Yeah, I mean, I think we'd all say he's better than Skip right now, right? You know, he just has more to him. So, right. And can I just, by the way, say how much did Ren buy him for? I want to say Ren bought him for like 9 million. And you know, you look at no, it was even less. I think I want to say it was less. Let me have. What was it?
I think it was 5 mil.
5 mil. So all you've got to do is look at 4 million. 4 million, right? All you've got to do is look at that and look at Skip 20 million and think, well,
Leicester can sign him for €5 million, which was about lovely.
So that's the don't worry everybody, that is the end of the JJ Glaze. Just one more time. There we go. Right, moving on. And this has been a talking point for quite some time. I'm going to go with the number 10. And let's come to you first, Jack. What are we saying? Because I think last time, like when we did this, I think my pick was like Carranza in the 9 and Ayew in the 10. Obviously, Aaron Ramsey came in and got a red card in on his debut 20 minutes in, but we've seen a bit more of him now in the last game. We've also seen Bobby Reid as well operate sometimes centrally. What are your thoughts on the number 10? Who do you think gets in as our best number 10 at the moment?
To be fair, Ramsey we've not really seen a lot about him, have we, to be fair? But, well, Oxford got sent off, and then Swansea obviously came off the bench and did very well. Bobby Reid did well in the Wrexham game. I thought he had a fantastic game, but didn't really hit the heights that he did going into the Swansea game. So, for me, I think it's got to be Uncle Ayew. And Uncle Ayew in that number 10, I think, you know, the work rate, I think he is second to none this season. He's more of a behind the striker type of player than a striker. So I'd happily sit Uncle Ayew in the number 10.
Are you in the 10? Right, interesting. And Neil, let me come to you, mate. I see you shaking your head. Are you saying, I've got a feeling you're going to go straight in with Ramsey?
I am, but I'm going to say it's the first time I've disagreed with Jack on something. No, I think when I've done the analysis, I think Ayew in the 10 is I think he's actually not as bad in the 9 as people make him out to be. But I think when he's in the 10, the team looks way worse. We just see it factually in the games that he's not as good at linking up the play or joining attack. He's not like, you know, you remove what was good about him up front and you just make him and the team worse in that 10. So for me, he'd be like one of the last options I'd have in that role. But, you know, I did one in a tactical show a few weeks ago where there's 7 different players who've been tried in that 10 position. No one's really come in and made it their own yet. I was a bit disappointed with Bobby Reid because he looked very good against Wrexham, but then the next game he looked all over the place. I think Ramsey did look good at the end. And when we look at the videos, he looks like the player who's got the highest ceiling. So I would try him there. But the honest truth is this is a position that's well up for grabs. Yeah. And I think the team would improve dramatically if someone comes in there, grabs it by the scruff of the neck, like Jordan James has done in the 8 position. Because just imagine you had someone as good as him, but playing in this particular position. The team would be absolutely firing, would be scoring more goals, would be not just this player, but they'd be making the striker and the winger score more goals. So it's a huge role that we've got to fulfill. Try someone there. And if no one's cutting the mustard by January, it might be another one that we need to look into the loan market to improve. But I'll try Ramsey just because I think he's got the highest ceiling. But I mean, no one's spoken about Louis Page. But I think he was a bit indifferent. He got 1 assist, but he just looks like he needs at least another year or 2 to physically develop. Probably should go out on loan, in my opinion. Yeah, I'll go Ramsey.
Ethan, I also agree with Ramsey. So you can have the deciding vote, mate. Are you going to draw it and go with Ayew or somebody else, or would you agree with Aaron Ramsey?
No, I think I'd still go with Ramsey. I think he's not had enough time, but I think he's the one where you'd expect him to really kick on in the position. Yeah, big shout out to Louis Page. I think he's done well. I think there's just moments where you're expecting him to just take a cleaner first touch or play a better weighted pass, but he's still young. He's still got time. I think my ranking would be probably Ramsey, Decordova-Reid, Page, and then Ayew. I think Ayew up top can offer you something. And I think if we were to play Ayew as like a second striker, then you'd have to have someone like Patson Daka in the team. So I think for what I'm expecting this team to look at, like, I think Ramsey would make more sense.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Aaron Ramsey is probably the best option in there in this best 11. I don't think we need to talk about this one too much. Abdel Fattah, I think, gets in every single person's best Leicester 11. But we will talk about the other side. I've just messaged Ragsy and told him to get in the live chat. Get in the live chat, Ragsy boy. Let me know if you're here, Ragsy. However, what are we saying on the left? I'll go to you, Jack, because you got Ragsy. You upset Ragsy a few weeks ago. You said something, and Mavadidi's PR manager Ragsy started having a bit of a hissy fit. But it's got to be Jezza. It's got to be Jeremy Monga on the left, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. For me, I like Jeremy Monga. Gets you off your seat like Abdul does. They're very the same, aren't they? They can do a lot with the ball. They're very direct, very skillful, the pair of them. And they've got assists and goals this season, which is good. So Mavadidi struggled massively, but the sun will shine on him again, Ragsy. Don't worry. I'm not saying that it won't, but he's not just been good enough for me this season. I've said it. I've criticised him. Constructive criticism. It's not hating on a player. I like Steffi. I think he's a good player on his day, but he hasn't done anything to say to me that he deserves to be in that left wing position so far. So I've got to go Monga. I'm sorry.
And Neil, are we being harsh on Steffi, mate, or not? Like, because sometimes I do check myself and just think, like, are we being too harsh on him? But like, he has been awful, hasn't he?
008, 8 games played, no goals, no assists. Not particularly good. Again, we did the piece on him a few weeks ago where we compared the wingers, and the surprising thing is that just how much Jeremy Monga is outperforming him. And the thing that surprised me actually is, believe it or not, Mavadidi's actually tried more attempts at beating his man than Jeremy Monga, but not been as successful. To me, what I think we're looking at here is, do you remember when Manchester United, they signed Wayne Rooney and they still had Van Nistelrooy in the team? But what happened, and Fergie realised it very quickly, is that Wayne Rooney was, even though he was younger, at that point in time, he was better. And it ended up marginalising Van Nistelrooy, and he got sold to Real Madrid. And then he's ended up at Leicester being one of the worst managers ever. So that was his downward trend. But sometimes that just happens. Jeremy Monga, he's obviously not the finished article. We're still going to need Steffi because he can't play every game. But he has started the last 2 games, and he's looked pretty good. I wouldn't say he's been the standout player, but it's hard to believe, other than the physical nature of him, that he's 16. He doesn't play like a 16-year-old. He plays, in my opinion, he plays better than Casey McAteer ever played for Leicester. He's a bit similar to Aggun at that kind of level, but not even, I think better than that even. He's pretty good. So I would be starting him. I just think the important thing is 16 years old. You don't want to be starting him every single game. So I'd still be going like every other game with him and Mavadidi. But yeah, it's a bit sad to see Steffi Mavadidi.
Big old rag there.
Yeah, fan favourite, but he's not cutting it. And I know some people, like Imran's, the one that's saying he wants to sell him, get him in January and things like that. But I don't know, because how long has Steffi got left on this deal? Has he got 1 year or 2 years left?
2 years. Well, let's have a little look. Mavididi, his contract expires in 2028. 2028.
Okay. So he's got
he'll
2
have
years left.
2 years left at the end of the year. Yeah.
Anil,
I mean, go on, Jack.
I'd like to ask you a question actually about Steffi. See, I've always thought with Mavididi, he's been too comfortable on that left-hand side with no one behind him to push him for the position. Do you think now that he's sort of realising that he has to up his game more, which obviously brings a lot more pressure? And do you think with Monga now performing better, do you think it's very unsettling for a player that's been too comfortable the last 2 years in that position that nobody can replace him, even though how bad some of his performances have been?
It's a great question. I think the facts are yes, and it's weird because usually it's the other way round. Normally you see that when a player, like I think this happened with Vardy, they kept signing strikers and he just kept getting better and better. It was like, screw this, mate. I'm the number 9. You're not having it from me. We see it with other players as well, but you're right. I think I've said this a few times. I feel like Steffi Mavididi, if he hasn't got one already, he is the player more than any other that needs to get a sports psychologist. He's clearly got the talent. He's clearly got the ability. And they're like, if you could unlock him and getting him playing at his best every week, there is a reason why he was in the Arsenal youth teams, the Juventus youth teams, right? But you just can't do it. I feel a bit sorry for him because you've got all that potential and like your biggest enemy is yourself. And I think that's what's happening now. He just feels the pressure. Whereas, yeah, it should be the opposite. It should use it as an encouraging thing. And, you know, someone mentioned there already, which is that Monga is at the moment playing on the left wing, but you could see in the future him actually moving into the 10 position. I just don't think you can play a 16-year-old who isn't physically developed into that position right now. But yeah, I mean, you see it happen many times in many clubs. Again, I'll give you another one. Barcelona, they had Ronaldinho, pretty good player, won the Ballon d'Or. Right. But then another player turned up called Lionel Messi. Ever heard of him? It turned out he was also pretty good. And they realized the same thing. And Ronaldinho ended up going to Milan, had a good season time over there, but they had the player there to take his place.
Ethan, what well, actually, before I come to Ethan, let me just mention this to Ragsy. So Ragsy says, I'm just happy Locks ain't trying to argue Reed or Ayew over Steffi for a change. I mean, on performances, Ragsy, I would probably, like, if Monga was injured tomorrow and it was Mavididi and Reed available, I would probably put Reed in there. I would probably put Bobby Reed in there because I just don't think Mavididi's... Yeah.
Not after last season. Jesus.
I'm rage baiting. I'm kind of rage baiting Ragsy. I think Bobby Reed should. I think they all should get a chance at it, right? And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you saw Bobby Reed, come on and basically, get that goal a couple of games ago, and he was on the left there, wasn't he? When he scored, he was on the left. So, but just quickly as well, Ragsy said under Enzo, Steffi responded well to being challenged for his position. I don't think he was challenged really, Steffi under Enzo. You had McAteer, who was on the right, who was kind of, I suppose, challenging Abdul to a degree, but I don't think there was anybody on the left really to challenge him. I think one game it was actually Tom Cannon on the left off the bench, which was quite funny to see. But Ethan, anything to add, mate? Steffi, Mavididi, Jeremy Monga. I know Mavididi's injured, but this is kind of just in general like the best 11. Monga is probably the. I said the other day on a stream or on a video, Ethan, that if it was for your life, right? If Leicester had to win for your life, who you starting? It would be Monga, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Monga's he's magical, right? I think every time you give him the ball, he wants to do something with it, right? And he pulls it off. I think that's been the major difference this season. I think Monga has just been way more successful taking on a man. When he's putting it across in, he's got the assist for Ricardo. When he's shooting, he's just hitting the right places, right? Getting in the right positions. He's just reading the game better. I think with Steffi is, and I think this with Fatawi as well, is that they've really struggled when it's been 2 or 3 versus 1. I think they've obviously the championship teams have pointed out that, okay, look, Leicester have really good wingers, right? So we need to double up on them. I think Steffi is just struggling with it. I think he's so used to having a really good system around him that when the system sort of is failing or is not up to 100%, then he also sees a major drop off. But I don't think he's a bad player at all. I think Luke Thomas, Sumare, these sort of players haven't really helped him. But I think it's quite interesting. I'd really like to see Mavididi play in a 9. For instance, if Ayu or Carranza are both injured, I'd be really interested in seeing Mavididi as a 9 to see what he can do. He played there in France a couple of times, so it's not completely unfamiliar. But he just needs to step up his game, needs to go back to the basics, try focus on the team instead of himself sometimes. But he's still a quality player.
Yeah. Just a couple of comments here before we move to the striker. Richard says Monga makes the most impact in a game, not the best when starting. I think that's a fair comment to make. I think that's what's happened this season. Mavididi was pretty impressive off the bench for Cooper. Then when he started him, he turned to shit. I think he needs someone to light a fire under him. I mean, I know Graham always says this, and it's very cliche as well, but like that does tend to be the case with wingers, isn't it? Like wingers sometimes. Damari Gray, I always found, was similar. Like he'd come off the bench, and I think it's because they're coming on, fresh against fullbacks that have played 60 minutes, 65 minutes, and it's easier for them to impact the game. And when they start, it's the impact isn't as big. So Ragsy says, I'd like to just give it a rest, Ragsy, man, on Steffi, man. Give it a rest, Ragsy. Give it a rest. No, I'm joking. I don't like the idea of Mavididi as the 10. Monga is the 10 maybe, and Mavididi on the left. Maybe that, but not Steffi as a 10 for me. Right, let's move on then to the striker. I'm going to come to Jack first.
Right,
Jack. Okay. No, I'm going to Jack first. No. Jack, be honest, mate. We've got 3. We've got Daka, we've got Ayu, and we've got Carranza. Daka, I think in the last 2 games, we spoke about it on the analysis last night, that I think he makes the players around him maybe look better. I think that's what you said, Anil, just obviously with his pressing and all of that, and his first touch for the assist for Jordan James the other week was good. You've got Ayu, who's the only striker to score a goal for us this season, Jack. Yeah. And you've got Carranza, who hopefully has a higher ceiling than the other 2, but so far has started poorly. So who are you going with, mate, in our best 11? Because I think it's Jordan Ayu still.
Bloody hell. Jordan Ayu is more all over the pitch than in a striking position. That's why he's only scored 1 goal, because he isn't there when we need him to get the ball into. So with Daka, yes, he's pressed the defenders. Yes, he's ran. Yes, he's done everything else, but he's not scoring. He's a striker. He needs to be scoring goals. That's what he's getting paid to do. And if he ain't doing that, then what more can you say about Patson? This has been the struggle with him for the last 4.5 years, for God's sake. Yes, he's the nicest person. I love Patson's personality, but his football, he breaks the hell out of me as a striker. I don't even know him on the pitch at all, if I'm honest, but I'm not the manager. So Carranza, he's got to be the man up front for me. I think he's the only out of the 3 that I'd actually put. Ayu's not a striker. Daka's just not good enough. Yes, he can run, but he's not scoring, so I'm not having none of that. So I'm going to have Carranza up front because he's a striker. I think he needs to start games and have a consistent run.
Ragsy, I take that back, mate. I see him on clubs. He misses more chances than Jack does. I actually called Jack on... I called Jack Patson Jacker. Yeah, Patson Jacker. That's what I call him.
Oh, that one's going to stick.
Yeah. Go on, Ethan. I'll come to you next, mate. Jack's gone bold with Carranza. I don't think we've seen enough of Carranza yet to say he's in our best 11. But I understand what Jack's saying. I think we do need to see more, and hopefully he can settle into the 11. But who are you saying for your best striker at the club currently, Ethan?
Bang out of order.
No, I think it would be Ayu. I think he does 8 out of 10 things correctly every single time we have a play going forward. For me, he's just way too greedy. Of course, you want your striker to be greedy, but he also needs to be a bit sensible. And it just seems like sometimes he's not reading the game around him. But I think Daka has been good, but we haven't seen enough of him. I think if this was maybe 3 or 4 games later on in the season, there'd be an argument there for Daka over Ayu. But if this is the best 11 of the season so far, I think you have to put Ayu in.
Anil, there's an interesting comment here from Peter. Lots of good comments from Peter tonight. He says, "Ayew at 9 needs a 10 like Ramsey for this Marty system." Would you agree with that? And if so, because we've got Ramsey, does that mean Ayew goes in? Although I know that you're a fan of what Daka's brought to the team over the last 2 days. So am I going to have to get the bozo alarm out? Let me know.
No, I got to say, Peter's been on fire tonight with the comments. He's definitely watching the analysis. I would agree. I think he will improve if he has someone like that because they'll be interchanging positionings a little bit more. That said, I'm very interested to see what Marty does go for this weekend. I still think he will start Daka just because it's the old cliche, don't break up a winning team. He did most of his work quite well, so he might keep him there. But if he goes with Ayew, I mean, the thing is, Ayew hasn't been scoring, but if you look at pre-season, I think he scored 4 goals. He scored in every single game, didn't he, that he played in? He deservedly, like, there was clearly a battle in pre-season for who's going to be the starting number 9 this season, and he won it. He scored more goals and had better all-round play than Patson Daka. But 1 goal in 9 is very disappointing. I would hope he gets a few more, but at least he has scored 1, and he has had some good play. So you just said it earlier. If your life depended on it, what would you do? I probably would start Ayew, but let's see what happens with Daka because he could end up taking that position. Like I say, I think it's similar to the 10 where no one's really, said I'm unmovable from this position. Like you see with Fatal, you just like there's no debate. That's where it is. And we as Leicester fans for years have been like there's no debate for the number 9. And now all of a sudden there is a debate for the number 9, but none of the options are particularly good. And I think it's a bit disappointing seeing Carranza, right? I think anyone can miss a 1-on-1, but it's not just that. Like even like West Brom when he came on, man, he really didn't look good, did he?
He was getting,
he's getting bullied off the ball and stuff like that. Slower than I expected. But I mean, to be fair, Marty said when we were in the transfer window, he said the striker position's a tough one to
I know
right.
it's. I know it's a debate and it's closer than we make out. However, this is for Ragsy. Ragsy's got this hatred for Jordan Ayew. He says, I can't have a striker that is allergic to the box, which I get, but I know both are awful. But if it's between Daka and Ayew, I'd rather have Daka. I would absolutely every single day of the week, every month of the year, have Jordan Ayew over Patson Daka, like completely. Like it's not even a question for me. I understand there are pros and cons, and there's pros and cons for starting Daka. I mean, I think we saw some pros, of course, in the last couple of games, and but I think there's a lot more cons. And I just think, Ragsy says you can't have a striker that is allergic to the box. I don't think you can have a striker that can't fucking shoot. Like he can't shoot, and I'd have again. I'll ask this question, like talking about life or death. If your life's on the line, who 1-on-1 chance? Who are you backing? Jordan Ayew or Patson Daka? I'm picking Jordan Ayew every single day of the week. Because I think he's more composed to start with, but I just think he's a better finisher. And although if your life depends on either Jordan Ayew or Patson Daka, probably just dig the grave, to be honest with you. But it's not looking good, bruv, as they say. Richard says it's Daka. He stretches the play. That new striker is not a 9. He just doesn't have that killer of a striker. But do any of them
exactly?
There's a comment here from Kwame, who might be Ghanaian. He has used the word Ayew and best in the world in one comment. He says Ayew has 14 goals and assists for Ghana in the world qualifiers, among the best in the world, I think is the instructions at Leicester. So Kwame's a fan. Let us know if you're from Ghana. I think Ragsy's right here though. If my life depended on Ayew or Daka, I'd just give up. I think that's fair. I also saw something in Ethan, that said Patson Daka has 1 goal. Every goal Daka scored has been worth £1.3 million for Leicester. And that doesn't even take into account his wages. That's just the transfer fee. So it's probably more like 16, 17 or 1.6, 1.7 million when you take into account his wages. I mean, yeah, we're in the mud a bit in the striker situation, aren't we, Ethan, mate?
It's just not been good enough. I think if you were playing 2 up top, he would be a bit better. I think you'd have someone a bit closer to him that could play him the final ball, and then all he has to do is shoot, right? He doesn't need to do any fancy touches or, hold up play or anything like that. But I think Ayew is just clear. For the best in the world thing, to be fair, I think Haaland has 11 goals. So he's beating out Haaland for goals in qualifying. But yeah, like I said, I'd like to see Mavididi given like 2 games in the 10. I mean, not in the 10. Whoa, in the 9. I think
In the 9.
Daka is really good at stretching play. I think if he'd play the last half an hour when games are really open, he'd be really good. But I think Mavididi can do that, right? He can do that, and he has more technical ability. So, there's conversations for the number 9 spot as well.
So this is the team that we've come up with, and to be honest with you, it is exactly what I thought it would be. To be honest with you, I think this is our best 11 currently. Although I think in 5 games' time, even this might look different. You might see a Carranza or a Daka. We'll have to see how Marty approaches the next few games and who he starts and how they perform. We could see Lewis Page back in the team at some point. Hopefully, I think we all want to see a bit more of him. Ben Nelson hopefully gets a shot as well, especially with Fast, potentially leaving in January. I don't think it would surprise anybody if he left. So, yeah, let's wait and see what happens on that one. Big shout out to everybody who's joined us tonight. As I said at the start of the stream, thank you to everybody who's still watching every video. The international break is tough for not just us, not just Jack, not just Leicester, but all YouTube channels, football YouTube channels, no matter what club it is about, the numbers are always down over the international break. So thank you to everybody who's joined us. Thanks to everybody getting their comments in. I don't normally do commenter of the night, but I will say, Peter, big shout out, mate, because you've been smashing it tonight, as we said, getting a lot of good comments in. Ragsy gets the Bozo Award as well, so yeah, I'm joking. Cheers to Anil, cheers to Jack, cheers to Ethan. We are going to have the match preview out at midday tomorrow. It's a very good one. It was very enjoyable, and I learned a lot speaking to somebody from Express FM, who's the local radio over in Portsmouth. So that was a really good listen. So make sure to check that out at 12 p.m. tomorrow. And of course, we will be live on Saturday for the watch along, a late one, 7:45 kickoff on a Saturday evening, so pray for Luke. And just, final thing, I don't know if everybody remembers this, I meant to mention it earlier when Ragsy was commenting. If anybody missed it, me and Ragsy do have a bet this season. Jack, do you know what this bet is, mate, me and Ragsy have?
No.
Me and Ragsy have a bet that I've got Jordan Ayew to outscore Mavididi. And he's got Mavididi to outscore Ayew. The loser, just like Luke, is popping a Ghost Chili Pepper or a Carolina Reaper, whatever it is. So get ready for that, because I think I'm going to win that one as well, like I won the Luke one. So, big shout out to everybody. Thanks to Anil, thanks to Jack, thanks to Ethan, thanks to everybody in the chat. We'll be, again, match preview tomorrow at 12, and we will see you on the weekend. Cheers all. Take care. Bye-bye. Big shout out to our new sponsor, The Beautiful Frame. They have absolutely smashed it with this Jamie Vardy piece. They're a local Leicester business as well, which makes it even better. And not just Leicester, they do prints for other clubs too. Honestly, perfect if you're stuck for a birthday or Christmas present. The best bit, they've sorted Blue Tinted Glasses followers with a discount. Just use the code BTG12 at checkout for money off. Grab yours now at thebeautifulframe.com. The link is in the description of the video.